Now this is one of the best chilies you will ever make. Well, you've asked me often enough, so I'm gonna show you how I make half a gallon of chilli. Last time I did this, I'd made a gallon of chilli in this, and it came up to there. By the way, this is an English gallon, not an American gallon. So, let me show you first of all the ingredients. I prefer 20% fat beef. It's got more flavour in it. So some really nice ground beef. This one's from Asda. Sainsbury's I've now boycotted for minced beef. It's like mechanically recovered meat. It's like a slop. It's horrible. This is still, as you can see, ground beef. So I've got 4 of them, 500 grams. I'm going to use 2 tins of red kidney beans, 2 tins of chopped tomatoes, and that's the basic ingredients. Then I've got other bits I'm going to show you here. So leftover spring onions. I've also got white onions. I'm going to chop those, not finely, I'm going to chunk them. Got a few old tomatoes. Because there's tomato puree in there, there's going to be quite a bit of tomato puree and some garlic puree. I've just thrown some old soft tomatoes in that I got left over. In here, I've got MSG, salt, ground black pepper and hot chili powder. Teaspoon, teaspoon, teaspoon and 2 teaspoons of the hot chili powder. Now that is to get the basic seasoning. If you want any more seasoning than that, it's really the taste test. So get it ready, let it simmer, probably 2 or 3 hours. Get it really nice and tender and flavours all throughout the chilli, and then taste it. And if you need some more flavour enhancers, because that's what they are, they're seasonings, and the MSG is one of the best ones to bring out the umami. So you've got the sweet, sour, bitter, and MSG brings out the umami, and you would not believe just how much that improves the taste of everything, particularly casseroles and chilies and one pot dishes. I've now got to chop the onions, so let's get doing that first. Right, the onions are chopped, and now in this pot I've got some filtered cooking oil. In other words, I've used it for other things before, so it's got a nice flavour in the oil. And I'm just going to put a couple of small ladles of that. See how tiny that is? In the big pot. I turn it onto high and let that heat up. When that's hot, I'm going to chuck in the onions and the seasoning. Smoking. Right, here we go. Right, lid on. I'm going to leave that simmer for 10, 12 minutes maybe. Just turn it once or twice to make sure that the ground beef is coloured, and then we'll add some more ingredients. Be back in a minute. Right, time for some tomato puree. Garlic puree. One tin of chopped tomatoes. 2 tins of red kidney beans, drained and strained. Now I like to add a handful of coriander. You might not want to. Now while this is gently simmering for a good half an hour, I've got one ingredient left before I start testing for flavour and seasoning. And that's this premium dark soy. Now the light soy is the salty one that gives the seasonings for rice and Chinese dishes, but the dark soy, although it's got a little bit of seasoning in, it's mainly for colour. It's a bit like gravy browning that we use for a casserole or something. Gives a lovely seasoned flavour and a lovely dark colour to your chilli. Right, this has been simmering now for 35 minutes and I've stirred it a couple of times. And if they did smelly TikTok, you would die for this. However, let me just show you. There's a little bit of liquid in there. Now you might like a lot of liquid. If you don't, and you'd like to have it not as thin, gravy granules, the best cheat there is. All you do, get a small handful, sprinkle them in, and because it contains suet, then it'll thicken it up. Now also, this is the time to put in some of the premium dark soy. So this is how much. For this much, 4 large tablespoons at least. Get the lid on. It's tempting. It's tempting. There is something else we need to do. The rice. People are always asking me, how do you make perfect rice? I say, well, have you got a rice cooker? They say, no. And I say, well, get a rice cooker then. Cooking rice is easy anyway. But if you want perfect rice every time, get a rice cooker. Well, my rice is steaming away. And I would love to give you this message. And that is, my name is Stephen and I'm an alcoholic. I've been drinking for 50 years since the age of 14. And I qualified as a chef in my early 20s. And that didn't help with my alcohol problem because kitchens are hot. And instead of having water, if people buy you a beer, you graciously take it. And I got bought a lot of beers. One of the things I've never really told many people. But after 50 years of drinking and realising I got some serious issues in my life, I quit. And I did it because of this platform. The help and support of the people on here, I'd like to repay now and give back by sharing my story and answering any questions that you may have. Any concerns, even if it's about somebody else. Ask me and I'll reply. Look, it's nearly done. It'll be perfect when it comes out. Now I've got brown basmati rice. You probably would prefer white rice, but I'm a diabetic, so this is best for me. But the rice cooker takes all the aggro out of whatever rice you choose. Well, the chilli is almost done, except I'm now going to show you how I also stretch this basic chilli, which is incredibly tasty, into a meal for 6, now to a meal for 8, by adding one more ingredient. And I don't think I've ever seen this done by anyone before. Yep, I'm boiling some quartered new potatoes. They were going really cheap in the supermarket. They were selling them off. And when these are 3/4 boiled, I'm going to add them to the chilli. Now it's a different pot. You're saying to me, where's the rest of the chilli? It's over there. I've taken my sons out and I put a few in the freezer. But I'm going to turn this pot of chilli for 4 into a chilli for 6. Simply by adding some boiled potatoes. Potato chilli. And everyone loves it. Try it and see what your family think.